Hi everyone. Everyone being, I don't even know, whoever listens to my diatribe. Poor you. Today is the 1st of September and I'm quite excited because that means it's the autumn. I mean, it probably isn't officially the end of British summertime until October or something, but in my books, September onward is autumn. I am wearing jeans today. I've been wearing boots. I put a scarf on and then went outside and realised it was really warm and I didn't need a scarf. But I made the scarf. I made it myself. It was mine. So I really wanted to wear it. I have a whole box of scarves waiting to be worn, and they're like, pick me, pick me. I'm so lovely and fluffy and beautiful colours. And I'm just like, I will, but I can't wear you all at once because I will look like Joey from Friends. Could I be wearing any more scarves? I should do that. Oh, I can't now because I've said it. Anyway, so I am trying to get a job, as any of you who are following me will know, and it's proving more of a challenge than anticipated, but that's fine. And just, going through all the applications and getting them all out there and many questions and so forth, which is good. Having to critically think through how best to answer them and so forth. So I've heard back from one agency that I applied for a job with last week that is a really creative job, and it involves a lot of writing up copy and coming up with creative ideas for things, which is so up my street. I would love it so much. And she's asked me to send her links for some of my creative work, and I am really unsure what to send because other than my blog, there's like one other website that I have some content on that I wrote up a lot of the copy for, but that was nearly 2 years ago now. Or maybe not quite that long, but over a year. Emails I don't have access to anymore, and then beyond that, I don't really have anything online. So I'm sending the blog link and the website link and just said, if this is the right kind of thing, let me know. If not, I'll have to go digging kind of thing. And I'm just super nervous. I'm so nervous. I mean, I know my blog is public anyway, so technically anyone can go read it. But when you're putting something that's very personal out there, specifically to a potential employer, you started rereading some of the things, thinking, how are they going to interpret this and what are they going to think about me on the basis of it? And it was quite a good challenge, I felt, actually, for me mentally, just to go, well, I can't control how people interpret what I write. Unless I can control it to an extent depending on how I phrase it and how explicit I choose to be about my thought processes and all of this kind of stuff. But there's always a chance of being misinterpreted. There's always a chance that people are not going to pick out the things that you thought were the main points. And although I've had loads of practice writing essays and writing work-related documents, and, I write some poetry, I write some prose, I write some political stuff, it all varies. So hopefully I know how to construct a decent argument, or at least put something together in a way that flows and makes sense. But this really made me think, how much control do I have over how I'm interpreted as a person? And the answer is not that much, actually. Not very much at all, because people see a small amount of you. People see what you choose to show them. They interpret things within their own frame of reference. And I always used to scoff a little bit at this whole death of the author thing that we used to look at when I was doing literary studies, because I just thought it was too extreme. I thought it was like one of those theories that is really fascinating intellectually, but there's no practical application, not really, because I thought, if you're an author, you've chosen to put across a certain thing. Yes, people will make interpretations that are outside of that, but surely the core of it remains what you've intended it to be. Well, I don't know, actually. I don't know that is the case. I think perhaps I was a bit dogmatic in my mindset, and certainly reading through my own stuff, it's really easy for me to see all the ways that it could be incorrectly interpreted. And sometimes even my really old work, I cringe a little bit when I read it, because I think, ooh, that was not very nuanced, that was not very well thought out, or actually my opinions have really changed since I wrote that, which is quite a nice thing to see, I think. It's nice to reflect on the fact that I am able to change my mind. It's kind of a useful thing, isn't it? Sometimes you need to. Yes, so I've sent them the links, and I guess I'll wait and see what happens. But I was very interested just at the thought of how writers are interpreted, how actually there isn't so much control as we might like over how things we do and say come across. And it would be easy, certainly for me, certainly for the type of mind that I have, to get quite paranoid about that. I've always, I think, naturally been a bit of a people pleaser, not necessarily because I wanted to be popular per se. I think as a child I wanted to be popular with the adults more than I was interested in sucking up to the cool group of kids. And I think also it kind of helped that a lot of the kids I grew up with were not cool, and I don't mean that in a horrible way at all. I think they weren't cool by the standards of cool at that time, and a lot of that made them, in my opinion, more interesting people, or at least more adaptable, more understanding of people from different areas of life. And I was really fortunate that, because my parents homeschooled me through my teens before I went to sixth form, that I hung out with a lot of different people of a lot of different ages, and that's carried over into adulthood for me. That actually, you know, Stan and I are in our late 20s. Oh, late 20s, 27, is that late 20s? It's not really mid anymore, is it? Let's be honest. We have loads of friends that are in their 30s, 40s, 50s. We probably, last year we went to as many weddings as we went to 50th birthday parties, and that's not weird to us. Like, some of my friends do seem to only socialise with their own peer group, even though they haven't been forced to do that since they were in school and university. But it's just kind of an inbuilt thing that, yes, of course there are differences between age groups, there are differences in experience, but that's going to be the case even when you are the same age. And I think there's an awful lot, and this is going to sound really patronising of older people that I'm friends with, but there is an awful lot to be learned, because that combined life experience and hopefully wisdom, you know, means that you can have conversations just on a different level perhaps. And I don't know, anyway, I'm completely rambling. I'm sure I was going somewhere with this. But yes, I have very little control over how I'm interpreted, really. And although that used to freak me out, and probably still does to some extent, and yes, I have spent my childhood and my adolescence trying to get involved with the adults because I wanted to be taken seriously and I wanted to be a grown-up and I wanted my voice to be heard, and then I had to get to a point where I wasn't too scared to speak. Because what's the point of feeling like you have something worth saying if you're too scared to say it? Or what's the point of saying it but hiding it because you think, well, actually this is going to be misinterpreted and this is going to be misinterpreted? And you can't control all of that. You can control what you intend. You can control, to an extent, how well or how clearly you express it. How people then choose to take it is not entirely within your control, and that's not something that I think writers should have to apologise for. I think sensitivity is one thing if you're dealing with a difficult subject, and there's always going to be, you know, artistic interpretation, that lovely phrase that's used to justify the ruining of so many good books by movies. I'm only kidding. It doesn't bother me that much. Some of them bother me, but not all of them. Anyway, yes, so I have sent links to somebody who doesn't know me, has never met me, doesn't know what I look like, doesn't know me from Adam. They've got my CV, they've got a cover letter, they've got my blog, and they've got a business website that I wrote some copy for, and that is all. And I just have to sit here and wait. I have to wait to find out what they think of me on the basis of all of that, and whether I actually get to see them in person. And it'd be so interesting, wouldn't it? It'd be so interesting to be a fly on the wall with stuff like that. Anyway, I have to go and get the door because someone's just knocked on it.